Stephanie here, coffee drinker, book lover, and reviewer of many things. And if you watched my review, you know that I'm coming right off of that. I know it's been a week for y'all, but it hasn't been a week for me. But I can show you all of my stuff again. So Coheed and Cambria shirt. Oh. Um again, you'll love them. Um Nail polish popping off because I was stressed last week, which is still this week for me, but don't worry about it. And my coffee is Starbucks house brew. It's a coffee pod. I'll leave a link for it too if I can. Okay. Sorry, I scribbled. So if you're coming straight from my review of this book, These Things Hidden by Heather Gunderkoff, I think is how you say her name. I might be saying it wrong. This is my spoiler for that. Spoiler. Spoiler. um, this book made me sad. So I was confused how it started at first because you just start with this girl getting out of jail, prison, whatever. And when we find out what she did or did, it's like, oh. My first thought was, why are they releasing her? But I get it. Teenagers do stupid things. And they never proved that it was her. No one saw. Um, she she shouldn't have been even incarcerated in the first place, in my opinion, because nobody saw her do it. And yes, they had DNA proof that the baby was hers, but she never talked. She never said anything. And she could have been like, I just had this baby and someone stole it. Technically true. Um, uh, the big twist at the end where we found out that her sister did it blew my mind. I was like, "Oh, what? This crazy girl." Whenever as soon as they were like, Claire was like, "Take Joshua upstairs and run him, keep him up there." I was like, "No. Don't do it. Don't do it." I was like, "There's something wrong with this girl. You can't leave a child with an unstable young adult." She was like 20 because she's a year younger than Allison, right? So, and then she started running that bath water, and I was like, "What are you gonna do with the water running?" And I mean, I get it. Like in that situation, the what was going on downstairs, you didn't I mean, I understand not wanting your child to hear that. He's like 5, 6 years old. They don't need to be in that drama. But it was Claire should have, I don't know, asked more about her before she sent him away with a stranger. Or they could have been like, "Hey, let's bookmark this and meet up later to discuss this." Because yeah. Um that was a big moment and I was like, and then she thought that she killed the little boy, and so she just, like, walked out and went to go drown herself in the river where the little girl was because she had to tell her that her brother was on the way. Also, I have to say that I mean, I've given birth. I have a 2-year-old. Um, she came out of me, and I didn't have any pain relief other than Tylenol after she was born. And, I mean, I walked from because they asked, they were like, "Do you want us to wheel you down to your new to the room that you're gonna be staying in, or do you wanna walk?" I was like, "I wanna walk." And so I got to push had to push my baby in her little bassinet down the hall. It wasn't a very far walk. It was a few doors down, to be honest. Well, it was a curvy hall, so it was a little bit more difficult than a straight walk. But, it was a bit painful. And, I don't think that I could have tried to chase after my sister and, like, gone outside to find her because my baby is missing upstairs. And, then get back into the house and think that it's just the placenta, but really it's another baby? That was another spot that I was like, "Oh, no way. She had 2? Everything makes sense now." Um, because as soon as they said that as soon as the book said that she had 2 babies, I was like, "Oh, oh, okay, I see what's going on." Like, I was like, "Okay," she was like, "Where's dad?" He gets the baby. And, I was confused at how, um what is her name? I was confused how, Charm got the baby at first, and then it was like, "Oh, they're brother and sister," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I see. I get it." Um, yeah, that was, like, the best part of the book, I think, was that twist, and then the part that, when you find out that it was actually the sister, um, forgot her name now. Yeah, the sister that, tossed the baby into the river. Um, I don't wanna talk about all of my sad stuff, but, I'm glad that Charm got away from her mom, because once we find out more about Charm's background, nope, that's a bad mama. And I'm glad that she had someone to take her in and not abuse her. She deserved it. No kid deserves to be in the situation that Charm was in. Um, and if you were in that situation and you made it out, congratulations. You deserve happiness. Um, Also, Allison and why cannot not remember the sister's name? Anyway, Allison and her sister, they deserved better parents too. I'm just saying. Um, I guess that's just because I came from my mom my dad wasn't in the picture. My mom never put too much pressure on us. Like, she wasn't like, "Oh, you have to do this, and you have to do this, and you have to do this, and you have to make straight A's and everything, and you need to do this and this and this and this and this." She let us choose our own curricular activities, and when I was in high school, she let me pick my own classes. I mean, she gave me suggestions. "Mm, should probably take English." Or like, if my grades got too low, it was, "Do you wanna go on the choir trip this year? Do you wanna try out for the school play? You wanna do those things, you gotta keep your grades up." Uh, I did have a rough patch in junior high where I was rebellious, and I was like, "I'm not doing any of my classwork." Um, but I think everyone goes through a phase. I grew up. Um, but I feel like their parents were too hard on them and ignored them at the same time, if that makes sense. Like life shouldn't be about what you look like to everyone else. Um, if that makes sense. So, the parents were probably partly to blame. Um, and the fact that they didn't know that their daughter was pregnant. Really? It just kinda your 16-year-old is acting different and you don't know. And they should have gotten her sister help a long time ago. But instead of smacking them because they spilt juice. Anyway, we're gonna just hop on over to a different section of the book. Um, let's see. What else can I talk about? Um, the fact that they talked about cancer was hard. Uh, one of my grandparents passed away from cancer, and it took me a long time to get over it, and sad. It's just sad to see still and hear about and talk about, and, I really hope that we can find a cure, because it's a bunch of stuff that people don't need to deal with. Life is hard enough. Um, because you have this thing that's attacking your body, but then you have to take this medicine and the chemo that's gonna weaken your body, and your body's gonna fight that also. On top of if someone sneezes near you, you have to that's a risk of infection to your body that's weakened already, and I think it's like a third of cancer patients don't die from their cancer or something like that. Um, they die from other illnesses. So, that situation, hearing about how he was a fireman and he has lung cancer, that's that's the sad part about being a firefighter. There is that risk. So, like, they're not only risking their lives to run into a house that's on fire, they're risking the fact that they could get lung cancer, or esophagus cancer 'cause you breathe in. Um, but the fact that Charm was doing all of this nursing stuff, which means she was going to the hospital and doing this and doing, going to different places, school and all that stuff, and then coming back to the house. Um, there's a heightened risk there because unless she was like sanitizing before she got to the house, uh, you know, hospitals have a lot of germs. Um, more germs than people like to think about. Um, and you never know what's airborne. That was where my head went, and when he, passed, I cried. I was like, "I don't even know this man." Um, so, yeah. Um, then, Claire's situation. Well, that might be TMI, I don't wanna go into that. We tried for 3 years for a baby. And, it wasn't until I stopped trying, I was like finally, I was like, "There's something wrong with me." I was like, "One of us is broken, we're gonna have to get fit," go to the doctor and have them do tests and, like, it was a hard 3 years. And it was like as soon as we stopped trying, I got pregnant. So, yay. But then my pregnancy was hard. So, um, I know people have worse. I've heard some stories. Um, like the whole first trimester, I couldn't barely eat anything. I think it was like Taco Bell. Taco Bell, it was pretty much the only thing that I could keep down. Crazy. Like people were like, "Oh, eat crackers." No, I hated the smell of crackers, the saltine crackers. I hated the smell. I hated the taste. I hated they were like chalky. Like my whole body was like, "No." I love crackers. So, for that to happen, um, my body did not like Dr. Pepper, and it did not like coffee, and I know, you're supposed to cut caffeine, but I was kind of addicted to caffeine. Oh, I am still kind of addicted to caffeine. Anyway, I know, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm telling you a different story than what we read about because I gotta get away from the story for a minute. Um, and then I got, a tear in the lining of my, um where the baby's held. And they were like, "Oh, just relax. No, don't do anything bad." Um, and then I had kidney stones to the point where got dehydrated, because the pain from the kidney stones was making me, not keep anything in, including water. Which is what I could keep down in the 1st trimester. So in the 2nd trimester, I had the tear and the kidney stones, and, I got dehydrated to the point where I had to go to the hospital, and they had to hook me up to an IV, and I don't like needles. Oh, needles. My fear of needles goes so far that if I'm watching a show and keep in mind, I watch a lot of horror movies, and I watch a lot of, like, doctor shows or, like CSI, Criminal Minds, that kind of stuff, and there's always needles, and I have to look away, like, as soon as the person, like, is like, "Look," I'm like, "Nope." And then there's that one Saw movie, I love Saw movies, I do, but there was that one where the girl got thrown into the pit of needles, and I was like, um, yeah. So and then I had my baby early by a month, and she was small, and they kept us for, like, 3 days in the hospital, but she wasn't so small that they put her in NICU. She was just they were like, "She's almost too small." And I was like, they did have to take her to warm her up at one point because she got too cold. Now she runs hot. Yeah, story of my life right there. Um, anyway, what I was trying to get at is I understand the, not being ever to have a baby, but I never went as far as getting the shots and all of that stuff. I was like, I I told me and my husband, we had that talk, and I was like, "We're just gonna have to adopt." I was like, "I can't go through all that shots and needles and every day and nope, mm-mm." Or once a week, I can't remember what it is. Nope, not gonna happen. Anyway, back to the book. I know, that was a side that was more information than you needed to know. Um, Now I have a beautiful baby girl who's a demon child sometimes, but I love her. And you can't really see it, but I have a busted lip and my eye has a bruise right here from her. Got too close. We were having iPad time together, and the iPad was sitting like this, and we were both on our stomachs, leaning over, and we were playing a game. And then I guess she set up at some point, and she got excited because we solved the problem or whatever we were doing, and she went, "Yay!" and got me in the face, and then as I pulled away, she got me in the eye, and I was like, "Great, thank you." Can't really see it, I put makeup on. Um, anyway, but, back to the book, okay, so I understand why Charm made the decision at 16. Remember, she's 16 and going to school full time, and she just found out that her adopted dad, this guy that she calls dad, that they've been taking care of each other since she was, like, I think they said 13, 14, um, was sick. Anyway, having a newborn is hard for an adult. For someone who has help, it's hard. They cry, they pee, they poop, they have to make sure they're fed, and it can be a lot. And I think that she made the right decision in her situation. First off, it wasn't her baby. I know. I used to work with kids. I fell in love with all of the babies. For 6 years, all of the kids in that came through my classroom were my kids. I love them. I still keep an eye on a few. I have their parents on Facebook, and I'm like, "Look at my baby, he's all grown up." Um, if you're one of the parents and your kids went through my class, just know that your kid will always have a place in my heart, and I will always love them. Um, but yeah, I understand where Charm was coming from. I also understand feeling that urgency to know, you know, how is that kid? Are they still okay? Or did they go to a good family? Are they being treated right? Um, like I said, I worked with kids for 6 years, and, I saw some kids go through hard times. I even called CPS on one, okay? And I had heard of some stories of other kids going through stuff where one of the teachers had to go to court to testify. I'm not gonna tell you any of the situations, but when stuff like that happens and the kid can't come to your building anymore, can't be in your class, you can't know that they're still alive, you get this sense of like, "Did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing telling on their parents or their caretaker?" Because now I can't see that they're okay. I can't see that they're still breathing, I can't be the one to be the one that loves them, you know? Because I don't know how to like, as a preschool teacher, you have to hug the kids that need to be hugged because you don't know if they're getting hugged at home. But all the ones I have on Facebook, I know that they're loved, and so that makes me happy to know that I did I get to see that they're growing up, and I feel old because some of them are teenagers, and yeah. Anyway, so I worked 6 years in childcare 6 years ago, so they're all almost teenagers. Anyway, why are these kids growing? Um, and, the way the book ended, going back to the book, trying to stick on task. the way the book ended, where Claire didn't really want anything to do didn't want the other 2 around her kid anymore. I'm not sure I would've decided that. Um, I understand that Allison was leaving or was leaving town. I I totally get that. Girl, you shouldn't I know you had to come back, but court ordered, you have to stay in the town or whatever. But as soon as you could leave. Everyone thinks badly of you, no one's gonna give you a good chance. Um, yeah, and then it turns out your sister was the one who did it, and then she, tried to kill a little boy and then jumped or suicided, you know, everyone's gonna keep looking at you. Why didn't you tell on her in the first place? Why didn't this? Why didn't that? I understand why Allison had to leave, and I love that her grandma was her was the safe place. And that makes me happy. Grandma lives right out of town. She took sister, and once the sister was out there, she was loved, and that she probably needed it more than anything. And then now that Allison needs a new place to go, grandma's like, "Come here. Come to grandma." And that made me happy. I'm glad that they did have someone happy in their life despite mom being like, "That lady is crazy. She can't be a part of this family." Um, but I think that if I was in Claire's situation and I knew that Allison and Charm didn't want my kid, because he's mine. I adopted him, you know, if I'm Charm, I adopted this baby when he was born. I took care of him. I stayed up with him. I made sure that he was still alive. Yeah, he's a little weird, but I love him. He's mine. Um, Once I found out that Charm and Allison didn't want custody of this kid, they just wanted to make sure that he was happy. I would have been like, "You know what? Y'all can come and visit occasionally." Because I think that it would be important because, Joshua knew he was adopted, and once he got older, like, if they were in his life, once he got older, it would have been explained to him why he was given up instead of, "We don't know, someone gave you up." Like, anyway, I did like that Charm wrote down both histories, or I guess Allison and Charm wrote down their family histories to give to Claire. Um, because what people don't know is when you adopt a kid, a lot of times you don't know anything about them. You don't know what's in their family, what happened in their family's past. And it can be a lot of drama. Um, I kn I speak like I know. I kinda do. My cousins were adopted by their aunt, not related to me, aunt. Um, and obviously, she can just ask the family about their background, but at the same time, a little bit before that, she adopted another little boy, and knew nothing about that, and it's like, you never know what's gonna show up. You never know. Um, so I can only imagine how she feels and what she goes through. Um, I'm not gonna say any names, so if you're watching this, you can stay anonymous. Only a handful of people know. But I know fostering a kid is hard because they could leave your house at any time. Their parent could want them back, or a family member might want them. and I I helped foster the oldest cousin, okay? I helped out in that, and so I was a little sad whenever she got adopted, but then I met with their aunt, and the aunt was like, "Yeah, you can still be involved." I still cried. Um, um, yeah, this was a hard book to get through because I felt their feelings. All but the murdery one. I've never drowned a baby, so that one I was just like, "What? What?" Um, anyway, the one thing I never went through, I promise. And yeah. So, did you read this book? What'd you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think that it needed more fun? Did you cry? Um, Let me know in the comments. I will leave a link to the book in the description because when y'all click on the links and buy something, I get like 1% of whatever you buy. I am a Amazon associate and I'm trying to get more followers. So, if you're watching this, subscribe because the more followers I get, then I can become an Amazon influencer. And then instead of having to link one thing at a time below, I can have a whole storefront and then you can click on that and see all the stuff I recommend. I'll still make videos. But then whenever I'm like, "Did you read this? Did you try this? Have you used this?" It's not like, "Oh, no," but I can go and see go get it now. Um, 'Cause yeah, but I need a lot more followers or subscribers or I can get a storefront page or become an influencer. I don't remember. It's a lot of work. Doing a lot of stuff. Sorry. Thank you for watching. I know I kind of rambled and told other stories that weren't related to this book, but yeah, I had to explain why this book was so emotional for me, and I think I did a good job at explaining that. So, um, again, like, subscribe, and comment below. And see, I said it backwards. Like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know why I can't say that way. I get tongue tied. Anyway, I'll see you on my next video. I'm gonna finish my coffee and start my next book, which is Stormfront by Jim Butcher, which I have read several times and I am so excited to be reading it again. Okay, I'll leave a link for that below also so you can read with me. Bye.